Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak. I'm in Valley Cottage, New York. I'm joined by my two very close friends, Ralph Schrager up in Massachusetts, Ray Clifford out in Ohio. And this is like the post-draft show. It's not even 24 hours old, but we felt that we had to get on the air just to give our initial reaction. So, Ralph, how you doing today?
Well, I was doing well, but I just got a call from Joe Douglas. I've been traded down, so I don't know what's going to happen now.
Okay. And Ray, how you doing?
Good, considering I just pretty much just got up. Uh,
Lucky you.
yeah.
You did. That's it. I almost had to wake him up. But just give my general thoughts because I know
Well,
talking to Ralph, we did a live stream on the
should I do my trivia question
first round.
first?
Oh yeah, Ralph. Let's do Ralph
Yeah,
has classic trivia.
this is a fun one. I want name the college receiver who holds the all-time record, Division One all-time record for yardage, reception yardage. And the hint is he played for the Jets for 2 years.
I think I know who it is. I just can't think of his name. I don't think he's over 5'9". Okay. All right. So that's a good question. You got that question, Ray? Ray comes up with the answers
No,
usually.
it's the all-time yards or
All-time Division One receiving yards.
Okay. All right. We did the live stream on Thursday night, and then we were in touch both days. I was more in touch with Ralph, and I was in touch with Ray too. But I know they wanted Rome Odunze, but I really think they came out of it not in a bad situation. I think it was look. I like to give two grades usually for draft. One is like draft maneuverability, and I would give Joe Douglas probably a B plus. He would have had an A. I didn't understand what he was doing on a couple of plays, but he ended up getting a couple of picks. And then as far as how do you grade the players, I always give it incomplete because we won't know for 2 or 3 years. But we're going to go over some of our favorite picks, some of our least favorite picks. But I overall, I mean, I kind of like what happened. I kind of questioned the drafting of the two running backs. But my feeling is I came away, and we always come away with a positive feeling. So we're going to dive into the details. But Ralph, what was your overall feeling?
Well, I thought day one was great. I understand they wanted Rome, and I know a lot of people did because he's a sexy pick. But really, to get a left tackle who we're going to have probably for 10 years, to just not have to worry about that. It's been so long. I think it's great. The guy's very young. He's going to get better. I think he's got a high ceiling, and they even got a little, extra pick for it. Day two, I thought was getting a little bizarre to me because Malachi Corley, I like him. He's a good player, but when I heard Joe Douglas say that they had him rated as the fourth highest receiver in the draft, I thought, wow, there's a disconnect here somewhere. I mean, better than Brian Thomas, Xavier Legette, Xavier Worthy, the kid in McConkey. I just couldn't. I know everyone likes to pump up their picks, but that sounded a little crazy to me. I don't know how you guys felt. Did you hear him say that?
I did, and I thought the same thing that I don't know. They must have, I know they have their own draft board, but I couldn't see how they had him rated higher than some of these guys, especially the other guy from LSU.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand that at all. And
So yeah,
like you said, Ladd McConkey, and then the guy Pearsall, who ended up going in the first round too. So that was
Xavier Worthy. Wow. I mean, that guy
Xavier
is.
Worthy too. He went to Kansas City, I
Yeah.
believe, at the end. So I was surprised. How about you, Ray?
I never heard that comment, but that would have surprised me. I maybe he was talking in terms of what kind of receiver they were looking for. I mean, because he's not like the others, because he's not going to be the outside guy or that Odunze would have been, or that, you know, a lot of the others will get. And he's not a big guy either. So I'm not sure, if he's just talking straight receivers or not, but that
I
seems
don't know. He
odd.
said after the top three, so obviously he's putting
Yeah,
him in that
okay. Yeah,
category.
I didn't hear the
It's kind of
comment. I don't
so
actually.
basically what I gleaned from that is if the Jets actually had their Green Bay pick from last year, I mean for this year, what was it, like 43 or something? They would have chosen him with it, which and it turns out that they got him on the first pick of the third round, which means the second round receiver jinx, maybe we can avoid that.
Right. And that goes like, and I read pretty verified that he was on the phone with 7 teams
I know we're
trying to move
lucky.
up in the second round. They got lucky. They got off
We got, yeah, very lucky that nobody wanted to trade with
right.
him.
And what they give Ralph is one of the 6th-round picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
they got a very good deal on that. I don't understand. I guess they don't always follow the number thing, but
right.
yeah,
But
and who knows if he would have been there at 72, maybe not. But
okay.
obviously no one else in the league thought he was a second round pick. So
Right.
um and then the third round yesterday, I mean, my head was spinning. It was frustrating.
What do you mean 3rd round?
I
Yes.
mean, the third
Third day.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very frustrating. You keep trading down to a point where, the returns become less and less, and you're sort of dealing with leftovers. The fourth round has been good to the Jets, and I really wanted them to get 2 or 3 picks out of that to fill some needs. They got the pick from next year, which is nice. We'll talk about the ramifications of that later. But I thought it was a little frustrating, and I just didn't, I didn't know. I didn't know what he was doing, and I was wondering if they even were doing this on the fly. In his press conference, he said he was just getting so many calls, and I was saying, well, you don't have to agree to trades on every one of them. And then he
Right.
traded up, which to me, I just at a certain point I said, please don't trade up because that is such a bad look after you've kept trading down.
Yeah. That's right. And Ray, what was your feeling of the draft? And I don't know. I don't know if you want to give a grade. I don't know how you feel. I don't really believe in them, but give me your feeling, Ray.
Um, Overall, I thought it was a B. I really liked the first day. I know Odunze would have been a good pick, but for me, you know how I am about the line. I mean, that's all I rant about all the time. So for me, getting that left tackle, I thought was more important than getting a top wide receiver at that point. But I wouldn't have been upset with Odunze by any means. I think he's going to be outstanding, and I think he'd be a great weapon. But for me, at least on paper, this guy, like Ralph said, should be an anchor on the left side for years to come. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood, whatever you do for your give yourself a luck. But um, I like the pick a lot. I thought that's all he really needed to do. Second day, Corley, I listened to some of the other guys on some of these guys because I don't have time to be researching all this stuff. But Mel Kiper liked him a lot. Thought he was he had him rated. He didn't have him rated as the 4th overall receiver, but he had him rated highly. Same on the second day. I didn't like the trading back either because I don't think 6th-round picks get you much leverage on anything. The one next year is nice, but I didn't have a chance to look over the draft, the total overall draft yet to see if there's anybody I liked, personally thought they could have gone for. I was a little surprised, like Ralph said, they didn't go after a safety, but I wanted Jordan Travis, and I would have rather had Estime as opposed to the Wisconsin running back, but apparently he's a physical specimen. So let's see if he can catch a football and block as well. I mean, Wisconsin's pretty well known for that, so that's okay. I thought it was a reach, but a good story on the guy out of Canada. But we'll see if he pans out. Some of these could just be guys that if we hit on them, they were great picks. But on paper, you can't sit there and go, well, that was a good pick. That was a really good pick. But You know, when you get in the later rounds, I'm okay with flyers, but I would have rather had them stay in place and take a flyer on somebody where we had our pick rather than trade back to the
Yeah,
sixth round.
I wouldn't have mind if they went very late for another offensive lineman. And I know it's starting to get crowded in that room, but I'm not convinced on Carter
You have enough.
Warren or Max Mitchell. So
Yeah.
that's my thing. I mean, unless they're 100% sure, and I would be wrong that they think those guys can do the job. And again, in all fairness to Carter Warren, he played the left side at Pitt. He was a year removed from a bad injury. I did a deep dive in this guy with his jet repetitions, and I wasn't impressed at all. But anyway, I'm just, in case you were under a rock for 4 days, I'm just going to go through quickly the picks. Then we're going to give our favorite and our least favorite. Round one, they got Olo Fashanu, offensive tackle, Penn State. No second round pick. Round three, Malachi Corley, wide receiver, Western Kentucky. Round four, Braylon Allen, running back, Wisconsin. Round five, Jordan Travis, the gifted quarterback from Florida State. Our second pick in round five, Isaiah Davis, running back in South Dakota. And the next round the fifth or sixth for Tez Stiggers. I think it was the sixth, right? Or was that
Yeah,
fifth?
wait a
I
minute,
think
so they had
We
two
only have
late,
one.
they had two late fifths. Did they still have a
Oh, that's
sixth?
right.
The
there
two
was,
late,
I'm
the two
not
late
sure.
fifths were the running back and
Actually, it had to be because I'm looking here. It says that he was picked 176.
who, Stiggers?
Yeah.
So that's the last
He
pick
was
in
the last one of the
the
fifth.
fifth
Okay,
round,
so it
yeah.
was the fifth round.
I
So
guess they had three, did they have three fifth round picks?
yeah,
So
and
because of
those
the trade backs, I think they did.
They opened the
They had
day
like
with none
two.
and they end up with
Yeah.
three.
They had like
right.
three in the last like.
That's interesting, right?
We've
And the
cornered the
last
market on fifth round picks.
right.
Terrific. Yeah.
And the last pick, Mr. Irrelevant, was Jalen Key from Alabama, who I guess he was a transfer. And Ralph, you can get into that a little later, but he didn't play a ton at Alabama. I think he was only there 1 year. But
Yeah.
I'll ask Ralph, who was your favorite pick? And we're allowed to duplicate, okay?
Okay. Well, I don't think anyone's going to duplicate mine. You're going to be surprised when I say this, especially Ray. I like Braylon Allen.
He did.
Uh,
Okay.
I have done a deep dive into this guy, read about him, heard interviews with him, watched his film. This guy is a freak in the best sense of the word. Do you realize that he entered college? He was 17 years old for his first freshman year. His whole freshman year, 17, Marty. He's playing against Big Ten guys, 21, 22, and 23. Listen to his numbers. 1,268 yards, 6.8 per carry, 12 touchdowns. I mean, can you imagine a 17-year-old running through guys like this? And I've watched this guy. He's not just a bull in a china shop. His feet are pretty good. He can bounce outside. I saw him run a 96-yard touchdown, about several others, 50 to 60 yards. He's not Chris Johnson, but he's fast enough. He plays faster. And I haven't seen him block, Ray, but I read scouting reports that said he's a very good blocker. Marty's going to like that.
I
Which
think he is. I mean,
go ahead, Ralph.
he is a physical specimen.
Oh my! I mean, can you imagine? He played his whole college career as a teenager. I don't think I've ever heard of that before.
And I'm guessing that he has a head on his shoulders because he combined his
Yeah.
junior and senior year in high school to graduate to get into start at Wisconsin
Right.
early.
Interestingly enough, he said who was mentoring him, reached out to him when he was in college. Is what you would call it again? The running back from Tennessee, Henry.
Oh, Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry. Yeah, he was in contact. I guess Henry, liked the idea that he was such a big guy too, and a Melvin Gordon too. Wisconsin's runners are
Right.
notorious. So I'm excited about this guy. I really think this guy is going to have an impact on the Jets.
Okay. All right. That's Ralph's favorite is Braylon Allen. And Ray, you go. Who's your favorite?
And I, as far as Braylon goes, or is it Braylon or Braden?
Braden's the Michigan guy. We got an undrafted free
I gotta get these names straight here.
I know too many Jalen's, Bradens, and no more Breeses and Bryces.
Quit drafting guys with 2 first names. I know it's getting backwards. But
Right.
even being in Big Ten country, I didn't get to see much of Wisconsin this year. So I didn't get to see a lot of him, in action. So, all I saw are the clips what they show after they're drafted, but though you can't go by that, that's all their good stuff. That doesn't really tell you overall what they can do. But, mine is, of those of what we got, mine's Fashanu. I just wanted a tackle so bad. And so I was just like I said, I would have been fine with Odunze if they'd have taken him. It wouldn't have bothered me, but thinking long term and not just all in this year mentality that they seem to have in the free agent signings and trades. This one is more for the future, and I like it because we haven't had a great offensive line in over a decade. So, if we're going to make the playoffs, that's where it's going to start. So I gave him a B overall. I didn't like the second day or third day as much. I would have given him probably a C to a C plus on that one. But I didn't think they were terrible picks, but I thought by trading down, he missed, he let some guys go.
Right.
Maybe would have, bit better, but he likes trading back for those 5th and 6th rounders apparently. So, okay.
Well, it's funny. I'm agreeing with Ray, Ralph. Olu Fashanu. I love that pick. I remember, and we were talking about it during the live stream that it's not too long ago. He was considered the second best prospect in the draft besides Harrison Jr., the wide receiver.
Yeah.
And one of the keys I like about it, and that he'll probably be comfortable sitting. Well, 2 things is that he said that Tyron Smith was his idol, which is really incredible. And he's going to be playing with his idol. And not too many of us get to play with our idols. Actually, Ray Ralph did up at Camp Willoway. He played with me basketball. But the other thing, no laughing.
Around the world.
I didn't see Ralph nodding when you said that. But
I know.
the
other thing I like about it, he's 21 years old. He won't be 22 till December, which I think that is phenomenal. I love that he's young.
Well, yeah, we got 2 of the youngest players in the draft. Allen is the youngest player in the draft. He won't be 21 until January. I mean, that's crazy. And considering all these old timers that keep coming out now.
Maybe Joe Douglas had a handshake agreement for an extension. But anyway, so my pick is Olu Fashanu too, and that's Ray's, and Ralph is Braylon Allen. I think both those players are good. I'm going to start with the disappointment, and I'm going to give a reason. I'm going to say Jalen Key, and I'll tell you why. I thought that they had a chance. Mr. Irrelevant gets a whole load of publicity. I don't know if there's anything with this guy, but I would have drafted a guy that actually I mentioned I saw him in a couple of interviews. I wasn't that impressed with him, but for the 7th pick, I would have taken a second quarterback, Sam Hartman, out of Notre Dame. Then we would have gotten a lot of nice publicity. And also keep in mind that we have a rookie camp coming up the first half of May. And we're going to need another 1 or 2 quarterbacks for repetitions because Travis Jordan is not going to be ready too, I don't think, when training camp comes. So I would have done just what the Patriots did. The Patriots did something I've always recommended. If you could afford it, draft 2 quarterbacks. I would have drafted Sam Hartman. So the most disappointing pick to me was Mr. Irrelevant, pick 7, Jalen Key. So go ahead, Ray. We'll snake this back. You go.
All right. Well, I'm not going to knock him for the very last pick in the draft. I know what you say though. I mean, I would have been okay with them picking another lineman for that matter. But I like his story, but my least favorite pick is the kid from Canada. I hope he's like that super story and he pans out and he ends up being an impact player with us. But the Canadian game is so different from ours. I don't know, if you can really judge any of that. He was the rookie of the year up in the CFL. So, he's got talent, but I don't know if it's NFL talent. The other guys kind of made sense at some point or another. I thought, Ralph had brought up the point during the third day that, we still need a safety. And I thought they'd go for that a little earlier, but because I think he is a safety, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, but when you're picking him last in the draft,
Yeah.
it's taking a total flyer. But so I love the story on the kid out of Canada. I really hope he pans out, but I think that was the biggest stretch of all the stretches we took.
You know, I
Okay.
watched some film, whatever film there was of him in Canada. Boy, those Canadian quarterbacks have weak arms. They're just like they loft it up there, and he's just like jumping. And, it's
That
kind
end zone
of.
looks like half the field.
I know, and that field is so gigantic. I guess. Well, more, the thing about the Jalen Key, when you have Mr. Irrelevant, basically, you have a choice of every undrafted free agent out there for your pick. And I watched film of this guy, and he looks like he's pretty good, but I cannot believe they couldn't have found someone better than that. Of all those free agents, there's a lot of pretty good. So I agree with Marty in that regard. The other thing is I didn't like doubling up on the running backs. I thought I wanted another wide receiver. Obviously, they feel like they need a real wide out too because they wanted Odunze. Because Malachi Corley is not a wide receiver, really. He's a slot guy, a gimmick guy. He'll come out of the backfield for some wheel routes. He doesn't have the skill set to be out wide now. And if Mike Williams isn't ready or has problems, we're looking at Alan Lazard probably on the other side. And that doesn't make me too comfortable. So I wish they had doubled up on receiver myself.
Okay, so your disappointment is who? It was
the running back. Nothing against him. I think he looks like a solid running back. But I just think you can shake trees and get running backs that are that good. He played I know it wasn't Division II, but it was what, 1AA.
Yeah, the old FBI. Same as like North Dakota State, where you're seeing a lot of guys now.
Yeah.
They actually, somebody took the lineman on that team that he's on, and he looked actually pretty good.
That team is the won back-to-back championships. They were a real dominant team.
I was gonna say they win it every year. We're gonna get into like probably the biggest negative of the weekend in a second, but before we do, I have one of Marty's flash trivia questions. We're gonna answer it right away. Olu Fashanu is the first Jets Penn State pick in 8 years. Now they haven't picked many, but since 1990, they've picked 6 guys from Penn State. All I want you to do is to name 3 of them.
Blair Thomas, Kareem McKenzie, Brady was Brady before 90? Kyle Brady.
No, you're right. Wait, Blair Thomas, Kareem McKenzie, Kyle Brady.
Come on, Ray, help me out here.
You're missing one obvious one.
I'll bet.
There's 3 more.
Hang on.
I'll give you a hint. One of Blair Thomas was 1990. There was another player drafted that year from Penn State.
Greg Buttle.
No, Roger Duffy.
Oh God, I didn't know that. I didn't
And
know
the other ones, I'll give you the position. He was a halfback / fullback. I really liked him.
Richie Anderson.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the last one, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. Like, what's it?
Give me a hint.
Well, I tell you the position, you'll get it. You ready? Quarterback.
Hackett.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
Christian
we try our best to forget that one.
That's true. That's true. Okay. But all right, let's get to the JFM trade. And to me, this was the most negative part of the weekend. And I don't know if it is because of what the compensation was. I think we would all agree that it was a salary dump. But, I'm nervous about the defensive line because when you think about it, from last year, I know we've gained Reddick, but we've lost Bryce Huff, JFM, and Quentin Jefferson.
Carl Lawson.
And lost, yeah, but Lawson, yeah, he hardly played. And, we picked up this guy Kinlaw, but I'm not 100% confident that we're going to be as effective as we were last year. So let's talk a little about this JFM trade and your initial reaction. And Ray, let me start with you. What was your thoughts as soon as it happened?
I was disappointed because I really liked the guy, but and I thought it might be that he didn't want to restructure for us, but that wasn't the case because he immediately restructured with Denver. So I think it was just the cap dump they felt they needed the extra cap space. I'm a little less worried about it though. I think Reddick is gonna kind of take care of Huff and him combined because I don't think he's a role guy. I think he plays most downs. Now in this system he might come out, because Saul likes rotating the guys out a lot, but I don't think it's going to be as much of an impact there. It's the middle of the line that I hope Kinlaw kind of fills in where Jefferson. I really liked Jefferson. I thought we would keep him. If Kinlaw is comparable to Jefferson when he gets in here, then I think we're fine.
Okay, Ralph, what were your thoughts? I mean,
Quick question, trivia question. When Becton was picked, the player after Becton was, Marty, Tristan Wirfs, right?
Right.
Do you know who the player right after Tristan Wirfs was?
no.
Reggie Kinlaw.
Oh,
I didn't realize. I thought it was the draft before. That's not just a first round pick. That's a high first round pick.
High
And
first,
yeah.
I went and looked at his college film because you got to see something. And I saw something. The guy was talented in college. He gets off the ball really
Where did
fast.
he go to school?
South Carolina.
Okay.
And he was a wrecker, blocking passes because he's so tall, blocking field goals. I don't know what happened to him in San Francisco. I heard he was injured a lot, but he has some potential. I'm going to be very curious to watch what happens with him. So I have hopes for him. As far as the trade goes, Marty, the compensation. Look what Philly got for Reddick. Pretty much the
Right.
same thing.
I was thinking the same thing, Ralph.
So that's just the way the market is now.
Yeah.
And as far as maybe an empty slot that needs to be filled, well, I mean, obviously Michael Clemens is there after 2 years. I'm not totally sold on him, but we're going to talk about these undrafted free agents, and two of the best ones they have are two linemen, who I
Right.
think might have an impact. So it could be interesting.
We're going to get to that in a second. Yeah, but disappointing. He played. I think the last 3 years he missed one game. Maybe.
Yeah.
Good player. Good jet. Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, I heard they asked Douglas about that in his press conference, and he said they were trying to negotiate to renegotiate his contract to redo it, but they were too far apart. Whereas Denver was able to give him what he wanted for a renegotiation. So obviously, we don't know what the constraints are that Douglas is working under, but
Right.
it seemed like it was inevitable. Douglas said, I knew it was going to happen. It's unfortunate they liked him, but that's the business. I'd feel much worse if I was Philly fan losing Reddick, though.
Right. All right. Well, we're gonna have to pick up the pace a little here. During the draft, we ended up getting a third-round pick, I guess, from Detroit. And is that a signal, Ray, that Woody Johnson maybe told Joe Douglas his job is safe? I mean, giving up getting a third-round pick for next year?
I don't think that will make any difference at all. If we don't make the playoffs, I don't think picking up a third rounder next year is going to save his job. And I like we said in the other show, I don't think he has to per se make the playoffs, but he sure has to be right there and maybe lose out because of a tiebreaker. But if we're out of the playoffs with 2 weeks left in the season, I don't think he's back.
Well, what I was thinking was Woody Johnson told him your job is safe, and then he decided, okay, I can afford to trade back,
Oh, right.
give up a
Yeah.
pick now. I don't know. If he didn't, then I give Joe Douglas credit for showing some discipline and thinking about the future as well as the present.
Ray, do you feel that the job Joe Douglas did revamping the offensive line before the draft and then what he did in the draft, do you feel that the pressure has shifted a little bit away from Joe Douglas and more on Robert Saleh's shoulders?
Yeah, I think so. To me, if after last year, if one of them was going to stay and one was going to go, I would have said Douglas stays and Saleh goes anyway. I think, Saleh's a defensive guy and our defense has been great, but, it's on him. He's the head coach. It's on him to get the offense going, even if it means, whether it's players or coaches or what have you, but he's gotta make this offense, not just because of Aaron, but this offense has to be competitive, even if Aaron goes down. And so I think that draft helped a lot because I think an offensive line can mask a lot of other deficiencies. So if the line stays healthy and that I expect a lot out of our offense, but to me, that's on Saleh completely now. He's either got to make sure that Nathaniel Hackett is, doing the job or make some tough decisions regardless of Aaron and get somebody in there who can jumpstart this offense if he can't.
Right. And you know what? I want to judge Robert Saleh. I want to see him when the Jets are down by 5 points, 2.5 to go, and they get the ball at their own 25-yard line. It's how he combines play calling or with Hackett and timeouts is interesting. So I want to move on to you, Ralph. I want you to give a general summary of the undrafted free agents. I'll go through the list very quickly. Defensive tackle Leonard Taylor, the third, Miami. Jimmy Carlo from
Army.
Offensive guard Brady Latham, Arkansas. Cornerback Jarius Monroe, Tulane. Safety linebacker Trey Jenkins, San Jose State. Tight end Lincoln Sefcik from South Alabama. Safety Shyheim Battle, North Carolina State. Linebacker Jeremy Lewis, ECU. What the heck's ECU?
East Carolina.
Oh, East Carolina University.
Yeah.
Wide receiver Tyler Hyrell from Miami. Quarterback Darren Granger, Georgia State. Linebacker Jackson Sermon from California. Defensive lineman Eric Watts, UConn. And linebacker, probably the best one in my opinion, Braden McGregor, the linebacker / edge from Michigan. And I'm sure this list is not complete. They keep coming in, which is amazing. Go ahead, Ralph.
I didn't see that the Michigan guy listed in your email.
It wasn't. I wrote it in. I said, "Where is he?" I'm sorry, Ray, but he's the. I think he's one of the best. But Ralph is going to let us know. Go ahead.
So I haven't looked at all, but I've looked at quite a few. And first thing I'll say is they got a couple of safeties plus key. And the thing about these safeties is, and I am not one who believes that 40-yard dash means anything for pretty much any position except defensive back. I feel like these three guys are all like running in the 4.6s. Jets have had safeties like Antonio Allen and Eric Smith who were good football players, but they were too slow. It just couldn't cut it. And that's what I'm afraid with these guys. The Saleh said Key plays faster than his time. I can believe that. It happens with a lot of players. But I'm not too excited about the safeties. The two guys who are the most interesting, most exciting guys are Leonard Taylor and Braden McGregor from Michigan. Braden McGregor, some people said he should have stayed. He didn't have huge production. He's a motor guy, and I have no problem with motor guys. They're overachievers, and we could use one of those. He's pretty good. I think he could make the team. Leonard, what's his name? Leonard Taylor.
Ralph, before you go,
Yeah.
I just want to point out, looking into Braden McGregor, last year, he had 4.5 sacks and 9 tackles for losses, which I love. To me, that's my favorite statistic.
I mean, he looks good on tape. He really does.
Yeah.
And he's, he definitely, doesn't stop running. He runs down plays 10 yards down the field and stuff like that. So I think he will eventually be on the team. He might be on the practice squad this year. I think they might be able to hide him. The other guy Leonard Taylor. And one thing I wanted to say is all these guys, there's a reason they weren't drafted. I don't, it's always a different reason, and you have to find out what the reason. A lot of times it's injuries. In Leonard Taylor's case, it's very obvious that guy is extremely talented. He hardly did anything statistically this year. His year before, he was dominant, and they said there was character issues. I've read he was unmotivated or whatever. I don't know if that's the case. And I don't know if it's something that was just an issue with a coach and maybe he comes here and he's fine, or maybe he does have a personality issue. But the talent is undeniable there. And I don't think this is a guy you can hide on the practice squad. I saw these rankings, Marty, you sent me of all the undrafted free agents broken down by position. He was ranked #1 on defensive line. And if you watch his 2022 film, you can see why. He just shoots the gap constantly. He's just busting through two guys. Guy's really good. And I think either if he seems like he's not a character issue, I think he'll make the team.
Ralph, I want to ask you about two players. The quarterback, Darren Granger from Georgia State, because he's going to get some repetitions.
Yeah.
Just because Travis Jordan, or is it Jordan Travis? Here we go again. Like Moses. But
Yeah, really.
Yeah, Jordan Travis won't be, he won't be around for, let's say, for the rookie mini camp, and in June they have
I've heard that he's up and passing right now.
Oh,
Actually.
he is?
Yeah.
I sent you did you see I sent you guys the medical report from the
Yeah,
doctor?
I didn't read it yet.
Just briefly, but what's your take on Darren Granger? Have you looked into it?
Yes, I've seen film of him. He's a very interesting guy. He's like 6'4", 220, and he's got a really good arm, and he obviously can run. And Georgia State, I mean, they played Utah State in a bowl and they killed them. And he's the MVP in 2 bowl games 2 years in a row. I think this guy might have a place in the NFL. I'm going to be very interested to see him with Jordan Travis. I think he's your second quarterback, Marty, that you're interested in.
Okay.
He's definitely got some physical tools.
Okay, which is good. And Ray,
Yeah.
when I hear Georgia State, you know what name comes to mind? I don't know if you remember a few years ago, Dylan Donahue.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And
Well,
I did a lot of investigating, and I was big, and that's why I don't spend a lot of time now on, Division II and stuff. But Ray, if you remember, his claim to fame was driving one way the wrong way through the Lincoln Tunnel. He was driving.
But he survived.
He's from Georgia, so well, I don't know if he's from Georgia,
Yeah, he's not actually. He's playing up in Canada now. I looked at him, so he's getting a little bit of a career. Ray, do you have any thoughts? I know Ray was running late today, and we're just lucky. Jets Rewind is thrilled that we were able to get him on. So, do you have any thoughts on any of these guys?
I haven't. I didn't look into any of them yet. I mean, I was intrigued by the kid out of Army, but look at your list of linebackers. He's not even on the list.
So does the Army kids have to serve first?
I don't know. That's why I was just wondering that too, because it's changed so much. They might be able to bail.
I think they changed something because there was another guy that was drafted, Trey something, a safety from the Air Force. He was drafted by a different team. He was rated fairly high, so I'm not sure.
Those Army guys are some of those motor guys too, who
yeah,
they just keep going. I mean, they look at you, oh, these guys are undersized, and then before you know it, they're making plays. I'm glad we got another offensive lineman. I would have liked a couple actually.
Yeah, I was surprised we didn't get a few of them.
Yeah, I would have thought that. And the other one was the wide receiver out of Miami. I don't know enough about him, but the name was familiar. But I don't think it's the same Harrell. There was a Harrell in college, but I think he might even been a quarterback. But I'm wondering if he's related. But at Miami, they've always got wide receivers. So I was kind of interested to see what he might bring to the table. He was listed 10th on.
Yeah, I can talk about him.
Oh, good.
I watched a lot of. He actually has played at 3 different schools. Miami was his last stop, and he didn't play hardly at all. I don't know what happened. His one good year was at Louisville. The guy is super fast, like a 4.2 something, and he catches long passes for touchdowns. I saw some drops, so I'm not sure if he's polished or not, but. interesting to keep an eye on him because because of that speed. And
Yeah.
he made some sensational catches, and then he dropped a few that he shouldn't have. So maybe you'll live with it, but we'll see. We'll stay tuned for him.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm just looking because I'm like Ray, I like the offensive lineman. This Brady Latham from Arkansas. Boy, it seems like Arkansas is becoming like a factory for centers the last number of years, in the NFL. But they say he's a work in progress. He was a three-star recruit out of high school. And it's not bad, but we'll see. But I think we always are of the opinion, and we hope we're wrong, that uh, I guess the offensive lineman Carter is not the best teacher. We don't have the best developer like Callahan, which would be great. So it's hard to tell. Let's keep going, and let's see. Ray, I'll start with you. Is there anything right now you think Joe Douglas still has to address? I mean, there's still a number of free agents out there. I know Ralph Ray's in love with who's the Jamal Adams. He loves that guy.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. The other one was that safety you have listed as an undrafted. It was safety linebacker, and I thought that might be the kind of guy who fills that kind of role if he actually can, make any play. A guy who can be a run stuffer and still play.
Salah loves those safety
Yeah.
linebacker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's somebody I'm gonna kind of see what happens with him. But as far as what they need, I think it's just, more depth anywhere they can fill in. If they can get another lineman going either through this way or however, still free agents still available. You can't have enough linemen. I don't care. I don't care how many they bring in. Just keep bringing them in until you find ones that can stick. But I
Right.
don't think we needed a tight end, so I'm glad we didn't take
Yeah.
Bowers. Just don't think that. I think they should extend Conklin. I don't think I thought he's been solid, and Aaron Rodgers is not a tight end quarterback. They've never been big numbers guys with Rodgers. He goes more the down the field guys, but safety, all the same positions, that didn't get addressed in the draft are still going to be issues. Another defensive line, but we brought in a couple guys, so maybe they'll fill in. But I think now it's a depth thing. Just have guys so that if somebody goes down, you got somebody you can plug in.
Right. Ralph, before we go on, Malachi Corley, because of course, when, Marty's theory about, like Ray, carrying more linemen, and as soon as I came out with that, they changed the rules for the kickoff. So the kickoffs, there's going to be a lot more kickoffs this year. So special teams is, it's back in vogue. But Malachi Corley, does he return kickoffs or punts?
I'm
I
trying to
thought
think. I looked at so many guys. Corley, I'm not sure if I saw him. I could see him doing kickoffs. I don't know if I could see him doing punts. Especially since it's the kickoff is almost like a punt now. But,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know what is
Okay.
interesting? You brought
Yeah.
up Brock Bowers, Ray. Brock Bowers and Corley are actually similar in a lot of ways. They both caught a tremendous amount of passes behind the line of scrimmage, and I think that the difference basically between those two guys is that Bowers is bigger, but Corley is much quicker, and I think I'd rather have the quicker guy doing that role.
that kind of
So
stuff.
I am really glad we didn't get Bowers too. I also heard that some people said that Joe Douglas tried to trade up to Chicago or Atlanta, and neither would bite on it to get Odunze.
Right.
Which is kind of funny because I don't think anybody. Well, that's not true. But I thought that Penix would go after some of those other guys, so they probably could have traded back to 10 and still gotten Penix.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what started all the whole avalanche. Chris Penix went so much earlier than people expected.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody started freaking out. Well, if he goes, who's going to be there?
Right. Yeah. I'm just looking. There are still a number of veterans available. I'm sure some will get signed this week. And after the first game, I think the rule is their contract's not guaranteed. Did Fletcher Cox retire?
Yeah, he
Okay, so
retired.
he's done. All right, defensive tackle, he's done. And Brian Moan from Seattle.
I don't think they can afford to get anyone high priced or even middle priced.
I know, I'm
Probably.
just quickly looking and wow, yeah, here's a good one, but they can't afford Lawrence Guy from the Patriots,
Hmm.
which is
Justin Simmons, I think, is still around too.
yeah, which I always like. All right, we'll see. All right, let's we're gonna close this out. Is there before you get back to the trivia, is there anything else? Because I got a house full of grandkids
All right,
upstairs.
we'll let you go. Just get the trivia question. What college receiver holds the record in Division I for most yards, receiving yards?
I wait, it's a college receiver?
A college receiver who holds the
Oh,
Played a
record.
couple of years on the Jets.
He played a couple of years on the Jets, though.
Did he play for Atlanta?
You're thinking of Terrence Mathis,
I
right?
am.
That's a good guess. No, it's not Terrence Mathis. He's nowhere to be seen on that list. Yeah.
So
Wasn't
it
sure
sounds
how.
like was it Division One?
Yeah, it's Division One. And the interesting thing is, you look on the top 10 list, this is the only guy whose name you'll even recognize, except number 10 is Ryan Yarbrough. So only
Oh
Jet
wow,
fans will
forget
recognize
that.
that.
You mentioned the other day he's still in the top 10.
Yeah.
I
I'll
have
give
no
you a hint.
clue.
A hint. It's within the last 10 years that he played on the Jets.
But we didn't draft him. It's just
No,
he played on the Jets.
no.
We didn't draft him.
Ray's usually better than me. I'm tempted to look it up and sneak.
I'm figuring. I was thinking you were going to make a guess, which is a wrong guess. But after my hints, I thought you were going to say Brandon Marshall. It's not Brandon Marshall, though. Are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
It's our own Corey Davis.
Corey
Ooh.
Davis. Wow,
Isn't that wild?
it's amazing. And
I don't even
talking
know
about
where did he go to college?
Western Michigan.
Okay.
talking about Corey Davis, what's going on with that guy?
He's probably still out there as a free agent. I heard he said he wanted to go back home to
Tennessee?
Tennessee,
Yeah.
but
No, they got
they want him? I
they
don't
got to
know.
welcome. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, there was a rumor that the Jets were negotiating with I guess Denver for Cortland Sutton. Did you hear that?
Is this recent?
Yeah,
Oh, I'd be on board with that.
which would be interesting.
Can they
Anyway,
afford him?
I don't know. Look, if Jason Brownlee could work out, that would solve a lot of problems.
I,
I know,
yeah.
I know. Aaron Rodgers likes him. Let's see. I always like.
Good.
So. All right,
I'll,
Mr. Clifford. Anything else as we woke you up from a deep sleep before we close this out? Anything else you want to touch upon? We're gonna
No, let's get the training camp on.
we're gonna try to be on the air Friday as we
I think the rookies are walking in the door as we speak right
They
now.
are
Yeah.
absolutely. They're going to hurry because a lot of them are going to want to go to the fifth game of the next series. It's going to be at the Garden, isn't it?
Ooh, yeah. I wonder
Ralph-
what's this. I got to look up the score of this
Yeah.
game.
You look it up. I'm going to close this out, and we'll stay
Fourth game,
a
isn't
minute
it?
and talk. For Ray Clifford, Ralph Schrager, Marty Schupak, and Jets Rewind, look for our live stream on Friday, and we're going to try to do it. Until next time.